everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Mighty Monday. This is your host, Mae Renfroe. And as always, we have really great guests on with some just real powerful stories to inspire you and wherever you're at in life, that God is still good and He's still writing your story, and just to help kick your week off good. So, off to the right start. So, again, I know that I have another amazing guest on. So tonight I have Johanna Vendel on with me, and Johanna is was born in December 1973 in South Africa, and is a middle child among five siblings. Tragically, by the age of 46, she lost her entire family in tragic events, and she's wrote in her book, Think Again. It was inspired by her devastating loss of her family in 2020. And it's just about her journey of walking that out, what God has done in her life. And so that is what my guest, Johanna, is going to share about with us tonight. So again, just a big, warm welcome, Johanna, to my podcast. I'm excited to have you on tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I just love the guest that I have on, that God just seems to get me through these connections. And yeah, just amazing. Hard stories though, and you have a hard story of things in your life. Just what you've shared with me and what you've gone through. And so yeah, if you would kind of want to introduce yourself any more, and just kind of take me into your story, where you're at and where you're at today, would be great.
Yes, yes. Well, like you said, I was born in South Africa in 1973, one of a twin, actually. And I had a younger sister and I had an older sister, and then I had an older brother. So we were five siblings. Then my mom and my dad. So it was seven people in the house. And in 1970, 1993, my dad passed away um, due to a heart attack. There are a lot of things in South Africa that sometimes can make you a little bit stressful about your life, or how are we going to provide for the family if things are going wrong and we cannot provide for the family. So my dad was under tremendous stress, and I basically did not have anybody to kind of handle the stress for him. He needed to do it all by himself. And my mother, she was in a car accident with my dad and developed back problems. So she could not work. She couldn't stand properly. So my dad had to really look after all of us at that time. And me and my twin sister, we were 19 years old when my dad passed away. And that was the very first time that I ever had to deal with loss. And it was really difficult, to lose the first person in your life. And my dad and I always used to sing together, and um, yeah, it's difficult to kind of try to sing again, and then you hear his voice in the background, and it just messes up your life, Then you have to kind of start your life now because we were poor. We didn't have any money now to say, let's go to college or do this or that. So my life had to start, and I had to find the first job that I could get, and eventually built my life up slowly through life. Whenever I had money, I paid and I did a training or something. And today I am quite a lot certified massage therapist, a medical
Oh,
massage
wow.
therapist,
Yeah.
and I am a beautician, I'm a nail technician, I'm a dermatician. I'm an author
Yeah.
recently, and I also am a podcast host for my own show on
Oh,
Bold Brave Television. I have my own podcast, Give Me Hope with Johanna, on Bold Brave Television on Wednesdays, and it is it's my life story that brought me to this where I am today because it is difficult to grieve all by yourself.
yeah.
And if a person doesn't have someone to describe that kind of sadness that you are
Hmm.
carrying, and you have to continue with your life as normal, it is really difficult, you know. In the meantime, 3 years later, you can stop me anytime if you have a question or anything. Um, so 3 years later, my twin sister was pregnant, and she basically went through 9 months of her pregnancy, and her water broke. But you know, in the olden days, how they say when your feet is swollen or your hands are swollen, oh,
Hmm.
just put your feet up in the air. You know, you're pregnant and things like that. But her water broke, and when they got to the hospital, they realized that the baby's heart stopped and needed to do a emergency cesarean. And through the emergency cesarean, her kidneys failed. And then she started to develop preeclampsia, which then kind of made her whole body swell up from all the water. And 2 days later, my twin sister passed away, and that was 1997.
Oh.
So, I mean, we were 23 years old at the time. Now I've lost my dad 3 years before, and then I lost my twin sister. So that took quite a toll on me. And not long after that, I got a divorce from my first husband. And I think it is just all my grief at that time that um, pushed him away, you know, into someone else's arms or something like that. Um, but then I needed to continue with my life. I mean, I had two children from my first marriage, and I needed to be strong for my children. But at that time, it felt like I did not want to live anymore. I almost took my own life. And it's like this voice just saying, sitting on my shoulder and saying, no, don't do that. What about your children? You know? And I just said, you know what? Not today. Not today. Every time when I feel like doing it, not today. It happened for a few times where I felt like just driving into a bridge or killing myself or whatever. And there was a time then when I said, no, I'm not going to even think about that ever again. So, not long after that, I met someone that invited me to a church camp, and then I went to the church camp with them. And that evening, the pastor was actually sitting among us around the campfire, and he was speaking to all of us and speaking about this and that. But at that moment, it actually felt like he was speaking to me because my heart was completely broken. And I did not want to show anybody that I was crying. So I just tried to kind of wipe my tears like now without anybody seeing that I am crying. And he noticed because his eye was going through us all as he was speaking about um, what he was speaking about. And he stood up and he walked over to me, and he came and I kind of looked up to him, and he's like, does this hurt? And he put his hand on my chest. Yeah. I couldn't even speak because now I already was like, my heart already felt like it just wanted to burst open.
Mhm.
And at that moment, he put his hand on my chest and he had his hand on my head and he said, "Can I please pray for you?" And I said, "Yes, please." So he started to pray for me, and everybody around that campfire came closer to me and touched me wherever they could find a place to touch me. And for me, it just felt like I had this warm feeling over over my whole body,
Mhm.
and it felt like literally like my chest was opening up, and it was almost like at that moment, God took this pain that I had and He took it out of my body. It was just like 7 o'clock that evening, approximately, and the pastor called me one side and said, um, "Have you ever been baptized?" I said, "Yes, as a baby, I was baptized." I'm so sorry. And
That's okay.
so,
Take your time.
1 second. So he said, "Would I like to say my own personal yes?" And I said, "Yes. I would like to say my own personal yes to God, and I want Him in my life." So the next day, I was baptized and I gave my heart to Jesus. And I just need to wipe my tears off quickly. One moment.
Sure. Go ahead. Wow. What a beautiful,
I'm so
beautiful,
sorry.
beautiful story.
So I gave my heart to Jesus that day. So at that moment, I only lost my dad and my twin sister. And I'm normally I don't speak about myself this much. I normally interview other people and I hear other people's stories. But when
Yeah.
you have to
Yeah.
open up yourself, it's difficult to open up.
Mhm.
So then a few years went past, and my mom was basically robbed in her house, and she was in her bed, and the robbers came into the room, and she thought it was her friend because she met this gentleman about 10 years, 15 years after my dad died. I can't even remember how long, but she only
Mhm.
knew him for approximately a year.
Mhm.
And the robber came closer to her bed because she was like, "Jess, Jess, what are you doing? Are you scratching in my purse?" And so it was dark in the room, so she couldn't really see. And he came over to the bed and he shot her. So he shot her in her neck and it came out in the back of her shoulder. So it went straight through. But that evening, my mom actually survived. And only to lose Uncle Jess a month later through a heart attack because all of this was just too much stress for
Yeah.
him to handle. And he passed away a month later. And
Oh.
from everything that my mother has been through now, she then passed away within the next year because all the stress from the robbery and the shooting and everything
Mhm.
just started to give her a stomach ulcer. And she passed away from a stomach ulcer. And then not long after that, my little girl was visiting a friend, and four robbers came into my daughter's friend's house and tied the whole family up with my daughter. And I am just grateful and I thank God that they didn't do anything to the girls because they were only 8 years old at that time. And after they stole everything they could fit into the women's car, they then left the people tied up. So I am grateful that they left them tied up and did not kill them or do anything else.
Yeah, that's for sure.
But they eventually got untied and went to the neighbors for help and called me and my husband and said that we should come and get my daughter, as they were just held hostage and tied up and been through a terrible ordeal because the robbers had knives to the kids' necks and guns to their heads and said, if you scream or make a sound, we will kill you and things like that. So
Oh,
when we got my daughter, it took about 2 to 3 years for her. When she held my hand when we went into a store or something, she would say, Mommy, I think it's that guy. Mommy, I think it's that guy. She was so scared. And I said to my husband, my new husband at the time now, because I met my new husband after I said my personal yes to God. God sent this amazing man in my life, and he's never had children. So I have two more children with him. So at that time, I was pregnant with my first second son with my
mhm,
husband now.
mhm,
And so I said to my husband, you need to get us out of this country. I cannot stand this anymore. The violence and corruption and everything that's going on in South Africa, I am busy. I'm going to get a stomach ulcer and I'm going to die from it because my stress
mhm,
levels was just out of the roof.
mhm,
And thank goodness my husband has been working for this company for quite a long time, more than 25 years. And he could find a position within the company to do an internal transfer.
mhm,
But when you do things the correct way, when you come to a country like America, they do a lot of background checks on you to make sure that you are going to be a good a citizen
mhm,
before they give you a green card or a visa to even just come and work here for a few years. Then you can get a green card, and then you have to have your green card for 5 years before you can actually become a citizen. So we now have our green cards for almost 3 years. So another 2 more years, then we will be able to become citizens of this country, and I will be proud to become a citizen of this country just because I cannot tell you how amazing it feels to be able to sleep in the night with sounds going off next to the house or whatever, and I'm not jumping up like,
mhm,
oh, who's there? Who's there? So it is
mhm,
really amazing to live here. So we moved here in 2016. So then in the meantime, now I lost my dad, my twin sister, and my mother. So in 2016, in August, we landed here on the last day of July. My husband needed to work basically on the 1st of August of that year. And the 14th of August, the 7th of August, we went to go look at a house, and the 13th of August, we actually found a place that we moved into. No bed, no chairs, nothing, just our bags. And we had to start over from scratch. But we had a home to start. And that evening, my younger sister called me and said that my older sister just passed away.
mhm,
Um, and she had a problem with her stomach where her intestines came through the mesh of her
mhm,
stomach that holds the intestines together.
mhm, mhm,
So she had a little tear in her in that mesh, and then the intestine came through, and it squeezed her intestine, so nothing could go through. So she couldn't get any fluids through her body, and her pressure went so low that they couldn't help her to get it up because the fluids is not going through her body to basically get her to feel better.
Mm-hmm.
And she went into a coma, and eventually her organs started to fail, and the next day she passed away. So that was 2016. Then in 2020, my sister, my little sister, was hijacked. But before that, they were robbed in their pharmacy where she worked at with three robbers with guns, and my sister had to go through a terrible ordeal, and also started to kind of have like stomach pains now and then, like she's like, no, I'll be fine, don't worry, I'll be fine, because I was now worried because my mom died from stress and things like that. So by the end of the day, my sister then went to the store one day, not long after that, and got hijacked. And she must have felt uncomfortable with this hijacker, or thinking that, oh my word, he's maybe going to kill me. Maybe I should do something to get us to go off the road or something. And just my imagination is telling me that my sister must have pulled the steering wheel, or they must have had a fight or something. She must have done something because she was quite like, she was not going to, she was a strong girl, let me tell you that. And the car rolled, and she fell out of the car, um, and he climbed out of the driver's side. And how I know all of this is because I actually saw a video that was captured of the accident, because there is a garage across the street, a gas station across the street from where the accident was, and there was a camera like towards the accident site, so you could see how the car was coming, and then all of a sudden it tumbled, it hit the side of the road, and it tumbled, and she flew out and landed on the street, and she died um, immediately. So, but they did not find the perpetrator yet, and now the case just went cold. And that was the beginning of 2020, just before COVID started. I still went to her funeral, and we found out that, oh my word, the shops are empty, and the air airports are going to close their gates and things like that. And I'm like, oh my word, I fly back on the 18th. I just hope they don't close it before then. So I literally landed in the US again on the 18th of March, a day before the airports closed. And after burying my sister, everything with COVID was just so much, because now I was like just worried that I was going to be stuck in South Africa, and I am so scared. I am so scared to go back to South Africa. So now I have already now lost five people.
Mm.
And with COVID, my brother, he was an alcoholic, but sometimes he will try to stop drinking, and then he'll be not drinking for a while, and then he'll drink again. But his body was just so weak. And then when COVID came, it kind of took over his lungs and filled his lungs. And eventually he actually died from COVID and not the
Yeah.
alcoholism, So that is basically the story of how I lost my six family members. And for me, still standing after 4 years, this last 4 years, I was really grieving a lot. I don't even want to say the word grieving a lot. I might just cry again. And I was really grieving a lot, and I miss my people. And how do you overcome that big loss in your life?
Mm-hmm.
So either Like I said, I tried to think of taking my life already, or maybe I should use some drugs or something, you know. But I am not that kind of person, but I'm mentally quite strong. So I'm telling myself, no, don't even think about all these things. So what must I do? And then all of a sudden, I started to get my voice back. And I started to hum a little bit and not hear my dad's voice in my ear. And all of a sudden, I started to write a few songs. And I actually recorded a few songs just after I um, said my personal yes to God, because that is when everything started to get better. So that
Mm.
already, I started to write songs then. But eventually, writing all these songs, I decided, maybe I should write a story about my family's life and how they passed away in South Africa, because I need to get all of this out of me. So, what I did is I wrote my very first book, Life Think Again, which
Mhm.
then tells the story of my family. And if it is, if you think about life, life can either be easy or it can be difficult.
Mhm.
So, how is your life? Is it easy or difficult? But there are a lot of people that goes through so much, and by the end of the day, they still come out on the top breathing. And this is what this book is about. It
Okay.
is about, it's about giving hope to other people. Even though I have lost my entire family, this book will still give you hope if you read it.
Mhm.
It is on a special at this moment. I am
Oh,
actually on an author spotlight today of all days.
yeah,
And my
amazing.
book is for 99 cents on Amazon eBooks. So if you want to go buy it, I will keep it for the next 24 hours on
Okay.
99 cents.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to go read my story, they're very welcome to go read my story. And then I basically have gone through different stages of grief at different times in my life. Because if you think about losing my father first, I have already gone up to a different stage. And then all of a sudden, losing my twin sister, I'm back at this stage. Going up
Mhm.
there, I lost my mother and I'm back there. And then all of a sudden, I plunged down and my life whew, was dark. My life was really dark, and I needed to find strength. And the only place I could find strength was in God,
Mhm.
because He's the only person I can really speak my heart out with. And um, I I have learned that you have to ask God out loud, God, I need strength. Please help me to overcome this grief in my life. Then I overcome a little bit of grief and then someone else dies. So eventually I needed to get through all the different stages, but I didn't really have someone to help me, because now all of a sudden I'm also in a new country. I don't even have any friends in this country, and I have to start my life over. And here I'm grieving. I can't even tell anybody about my pain I'm carrying.
Mhm.
So after writing down my life story, I thought, well, now at least I can close this chapter in my life and I can put it down, because now it doesn't have to be inside me anymore. And what
Yeah.
I did was I then wrote a second book, Navigating Through Losses and Grief, Think Again. And this book helps people to navigate through their different stages of grief. Because I have been through so many different stages of grief, I thought I am going to give the people out there a chance to read my book and read my story and help them to
Mm-hmm.
navigate through this grief, and that is what I am all about at this moment. I won two international awards for both my books, and
Wow.
um, and I'm busy writing a third book now, which will
Okay.
publish next month, and it is actually where I am at today. Um, yes, I cried a little bit earlier now, but I have become so strong, and I can just thank God for that. That I am so strong today to be able to help people go
Mm-hmm.
through their losses and their grief,
Mm-hmm.
because I can tell you that I am not going to die young. I
Yeah.
am going to grow old. I believe that. I believe it in my heart, and I
Mm-hmm.
believe God is going to give life to me so that I can live and see my children grow up and maybe have a few extra grandchildren and things like that. And just be an example that doesn't matter how many people we lose in our lives. If we have God in our lives, we can definitely get through it. And I know that there are different religions, and it's just about having your God in your life. Um, if you just have that in your life, I am a Christian, so I believe in God, and
Yes.
just to believe in something like God, it just it's unbelievable how strong a person can get and how far you can get in life. So definitely look out for my new book. I did announce the name already on my Facebook, so I can tell you about it. It's
Okay.
going to be called Unseen Tears Beneath the Mask.
Okay.
And my book is going to be, like I say, at the stage where I am now. After going through all of this,
Mm-hmm.
I have realized that actually people think I am fine. They think I'm fine because I always have a smile on my face, which means is I must have worn a mask all this time. And I thought to myself, oh my word, I'm feeling this emotion in me. And I'm going to write a story about how I am taking this mask off, because as from today and as from now on, this is what people is going to see is Johanna Vendel. And I am a strong, resilient woman, and I'm not going to let anything get me down. And I will miss my family for the rest of my life, but I'm not going to let it get me down. So I believe that I will become stronger and stronger.
Mm-hmm.
I am busy with a few other books as well, which will get all of this hurt out of me. And this is how I do it.
Yeah.
God and writing my books. This is how I do it. So if I can be an inspiration for anybody out there, you are welcome to follow me on Facebook, Johanna Maria Vendel. And I am the one with the little blue tick, verified name.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's not verified name, it's not me. And there are a few that is not me
Okay. Okay.
on Facebook. So I am the verified one.
Yeah. All right.
And
Wow.
that is my story.
Yeah. Well, it's an amazing one. I mean, it's hard, terribly hard, but amazing what God's done. You know how you find that strength and that courage and that peace, uh, and hope to continue on, soldier on. Like you said, and just you want to be a beacon to others, to to give them that life that there is better days ahead, right? And I really loved how your conversion story, a testimony of where you found Jesus when they prayed for you, and when you really surrendered your life to Him, and so that you really noticed a big difference. Right before, like you had how many losses like in your family prior to that, and how many after? I think I kind of got. So I'm just wondering how many before and how many after, and then did you really notice a
So
big difference in your grieving?
yes, so it was two before my dad, my sister, and my divorce.
Okay, okay,
So then that was just so overwhelming that I felt like I could not bear with it. And
yeah,
then I said my personal yes to Jesus. And then when I had my other losses, I was definitely stronger,
yeah.
in my strength. And I can, like I say, I can just say, thank you, God, thank you, God. And I can still say, thank you, God, still today, because
Hmm.
I wrote one of my songs that says, give your heart to Jesus, but give it every day, because yesterday is gone. Tomorrow is not promised. So live your life for today, because today is the day that you can make a difference in someone else's life. So give your heart to Jesus, but give it every day. And I would like to end with that.
Oh wow, that is great. I haven't really heard it put that way. I mean, very important that we continue just every day. I mean, just saying yes and giving your heart, your life to Jesus. So every day is
Yes,
like,
because we wake up, yeah, we wake up every
yeah,
day, and yesterday he could have like taken us yesterday. Tomorrow we don't know if we're going to be here, so we must give it again today. Say, God, take my life today, because if I say I gave my heart to Jesus in 2006, I gave my heart to Jesus. What could have happened in the meantime? I need to give my heart to Jesus again today, because today's a new day, and today is the day we're going to live, and we're going to try to take over the world.
yeah. Wow. Now that's a mighty bang for your mighty, mighty one day kick off our week. Wow, to see it that way. And then every new day is just so special, a gift from God that He's gave us this new day. That it's life is a
Yes,
gift. Well, every day is a gift. Life is a miracle.
it
Every
is. It definitely is. And
precious, precious miracle.
you only realize that after you've lost so many people, and you
Yeah,
realize how valuable life actually is, and how easy someone can die,
yeah,
also how difficult someone can die. But
yeah,
that's when you start to appreciate life a little bit more. And I appreciate life from the deepest of my heart every single day.
wow. Wow, I can really see it. And I know, I mean, in my story too, that a lot of my listeners will know that I had lost three family members within 3 years back, like in my son in 2017, and then my dad 2018, and a brother 2019. So yeah, the same similar like in that, and just back to back. But I really feel like life. Yeah, I've got that passion. Realize just how grateful we need to be, and just how fragile life can be. That it is precious, and
Definitely.
yeah, God is
Definitely.
just so good. I'm
God
so
is good.
thankful. Yeah, yeah, you sure is.
Yes,
So,
and you are also doing an amazing thing to have your podcast, and bringing people up to tell their stories. I am grateful that you chose me to be on your podcast.
yeah. Well, you're welcome. I thank God that He put us together. So glory to God. And so, yeah, thanks for joining me tonight and for sharing that. And I really believe this will be an inspiration to others, your story. And if they can get in on that book sale right now, that would be great. They can go to Amazon, right? Okay. And I'll put
Yes,
links, your like bio and links
yes,
in the description here too. So, okay. Well, I'll just thank you again. And everybody, I just hope everybody has a really good, mighty week. Can't go wrong when you put God first and put surrender your life to God and say yes every day. All right. So,
yes,
okay.
definitely yes.
All
Well,
right.
thank you
Well,
very much for having me. Have a good evening.
okay. You too. Take care. God bless.
Bye.